Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown had a, quite frankly, terrible launch. And then that's actually an understatement, but at the same time, it's time to stop feeling bad for the company and tell them how to fix this damn game. There's just no denying it. The developers have made bank from this game, and they expect to make more bank very soon with the new seasons. Now, just to be clear, the reason we're talking about this at all, they announced in a video that they're cancelling one of the updates and realigning to essentially make the game a little bit more test drive, which I don't know why it took them 3 months to actually come out and say that, but they did. We look at the Steam charts a lot. They have dropped players, yes, but actually they've been pretty consistent in keeping these players coming back, which is kind of amazing. People will play anything. If you think I'm being mean, let's look at this. This is just the Steam stats for the game. Of course, they charged $50 for the game, 200,000 units sold. Now, I don't know if this tracks, you know, people refunding, because Steam refunds pretty good, which actually suggests they made $11 million from the PC version alone. This says 9.3. That's probably taking into account the fact that, you know, Steam charge money. So it's all well and good me shouting, saying this is bad, this is terrible, and not really talking about how they can improve the game. So I've spent a little bit of time thinking about this because, well, ultimately this area actually did a better job at capturing what Test Drive kind of should feel like than the base game, which is odd because we know this has been worked on, well, obviously for the last 3 months, but also before launch. So let's get down to it. What does Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown need? I started here. So, Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown, it's all about racing, which is unfortunate. But to me, the reason I did the racing in Test Drive is to purchase property. Now, for that, the purpose of buying property, for the most part, is to build up your car collection, because you need space to do so. Which then, why am I building up the car collection? It's to do the racing, to get more property, to do the car collection. If you can create a loop like this, it just kind of makes sense, and that's what the game is missing right now. Like, if I delete the property, which then deletes that, I'm doing this, which doesn't really make sense to me. What's the point? Why am I I don't want to race. It's broken. So that's what I started with, and then I expanded the idea. And I'm going to break down a lot of these elements. There's a lot to go through, and at the same rate, I didn't really go properly in depth with everything because there's a lot to do. So what I'm going to do is start with what's missing, and that ultimately is property. Property, what's the purpose? Well, it's reward beyond cars. Cars are great, but there's many games that I can do that in, and there's many games that do that part better. So beyond that, the social meets. That's why I want beyond cars. Customization extended. I can customize my house and my character and things like that. Expandable garages. We already kind of spoke about why having more garage space is a good idea. Having the one we currently have is just a little bit lackluster. Not being able to put what's where. Multiple garages is part of the multiple properties, linking to the meaning behind cars, which is also super important. That links back to the car collection category, and that's kind of where we're going next. Now, there are a couple of cars added to the game recently. This Bugatti, for one of them, which you will never be able to obtain, probably. We just test drove the Ferrari California. Now, I cannot stand the Grandad California Ferrari. I think it's the ugliest, dumbest piece of doggy poo-poo in Ferrari history. I hate it. Okay, no, I take that back. The SUV exists. The reason I give a damn about it is because of Test Drive. It was the introduction car. It's meaningful. It's important to this game. They managed to create meaning behind it because it's a car, the first super hyper car we get to drive in Test Drive Unlimited 2, and then all of a sudden it's a dream. We could only dream of obtaining a vehicle like this, and that builds character. That builds meaning. So once you finally obtain this car, there's a purpose behind it. And then to go on to the story about the Bugatti, they've technically tried to do something there. However, about 10 people will probably own the car. If you don't play the game, which is most people right now, if we jump into competition, this is how you get that new Bugatti Chiron Super Sport 300 Plus. You must be in the Solar Court, which basically requires you to do competitive racing. that you can't really do right now. Here's the leaderboard to show you exactly who's who and who's what and who's doing what, because it shows you which position they are on the league. Now you need 5,000 XP to actually get to this point. So let's have a look, scroll down the list, and we have already dropped off. That's right. On PC, 17 people will get the Bugatti, and there are 60 something days left. Sure, creating meaning, value, purpose, I get it. But I also just really fucking know. It's kind of like saying the Solar Pass adds progression, grind, meaning behind the Diablo. It just doesn't. I don't give a damn. I haven't claimed my Solar Pass. You want to say, how much progress have I done? You can see it. What the hell just happened? Is the game okay? It's fine. It's fine. Anyway, the Bugatti was in TDU2, the Veyron, and it was a pretty rare car. Like, it was amazing to see. It was exciting. And now the Super Sport's here, but most of us are not going to be able to get it, which destroys the whole point of having meaning behind cars, in my opinion. Then you've got the 177 Aston Martin. The best Aston Martin, I think, probably ever created. I think it's fantastic, and I associate it with Test Drive. It's not in the game. It could come in the future, but that would be a good one. And this is just based on its own meaning behind cars. You don't have to just do your own world. People aren't going to complain if you add the BMW M3 GTR, or they're not going to complain if you add, well, hell, the crew has got these crazy fancy Bugattis that no one else has. Your French also, your Test Drive. It was the first place we could play with the Bugatti Veyron in a lot of games, and it actually made it somewhat interesting, somewhat intriguing. Test Drive is about being a rich knob. None of us will ever be this rich. Okay, maybe some of you. I hope so. I mean, I hope and pray then you can let me have a ride in one of these cars, right? Okay, not the California. You can get stuff made. Another way to add meaning to cars is with characters and story. That's obvious. The M3 GTR only actually matters because of the fact of the story of it being taken from you and such. The reason the GTR is so popular is because of its story, and also Gran Turismo, but its story and the Fast and Furious story. You can add purpose by having tiers have a purpose, because right now it just doesn't really matter that much. I've been telling Need for Speed for forever. If you've got SUVs and things like that, and you've got the lockdown mode, or you've got some kind of takedown events, then it makes sense. But beyond that, it kind of doesn't. Like, it's all well and good having off-road races, but they don't really actually explain those to you. Why are we racing off-road? And why are we using a luxury SUV to do so? I get that there's buggies, but then this just gets slopped on top. There could be more meaning behind it, more purpose, more reason. And then ultimately, yeah, I'm not doing a top-heavy piece of crap. Literally, Test Drive is the game that genuinely, instead of my Panamera, I was just looking for something to tow, and I didn't know there was an estate that could do my tow capacity that's required. It's why I love, like, the Volkswagen Touareg and the Audi equivalents, because of Test Drive. Like, I would genuinely actually buy one of those, because they're like a couple of grand, to do the workload of towing, if my estate car didn't do so. So, this is what we've looked at so far. Pretty interesting, I think, and a good set of points for them to start and look at. Now, I think one of the obvious questions that a lot of people are going to have, they've got 11 million from the Steam version. Okay, let's say, you know, more realistically, they've got 8 million from the PC version. And then on PlayStation, probably double, triple, quadruple that. On Xbox, at least double it. They've made a bag from this game. We don't know exactly how much they spent, but they say it's a AA game. It's not a AAA game. And AAA games are what? Well, it's kind of hard to pinpoint, but they clearly made some money. Like, there's no way that they didn't make 50+ million from this game, especially considering you can't refund on PlayStation very well. But that's beside the point. Even if they just made the money back, they need to get a return on their investment, and the best way to do that is with monetization. Hey, everyone hates talking about monetization, but that's going to come soon. I think they said 2 free solar passes. I think we're on the second one now. Either way, they need to not piss off the actual dedicated, because there are dedicated people in this game. Clearly, for the fact that they've got the bloody Bugatti ready, it's going to unlock, is kind of nutty to think about. People actually put the time in and managed to not only bear that, they managed to find people in a session that is actually possible for them to jump into. They spent time looking for that session. There's no question. Maybe they played together. social. Basically, you've already pissed off the masses. Maybe you don't piss off your dedicated fans by leaving the game in the state that it is. And so I think dual benefit, you make most people feel a bit better about their purchase to actually continue to play the game, and then you're also building the next game. That's why the Need for Speed team did it in that way. They are building features that are inevitably going to be reused in the next title. They're not just wasting their time, they're testing stuff and seeing what works, and then they can build upon it in the future when the engine allows them to do so, because they can just rip it all apart, not really care about breaking stuff that's already live. So as I said, dual benefit. Now, I do want to say, once again, this island did actually provide a bit of an insight as to maybe what we can expect to see going forward. They added this, the street store, and they've also got another section on the other side of the map. This is the shop store. Can I actually enter the shop store? I might have asked that before. We'll find out. Oh, money. Thank you, thank you. I can't even get... What a terrible turning circle. So by the social aspects, I guess you could kind of blend that into the real life aspects. And that's something that Test Drive is super unique about, and well, what it's missing, because that's kind of needed. Can you actually go reserve for shops, clan members? That's... You know, I don't really think that's great. I was just thinking there should be like a discount clothes store, or there should be a hip-hoppy clothes store, or in between, maybe a discount, you know, whatever. Add kind of purpose and reason for us to go to these different locations. Why does it need to be like only the shops can go here? You're trying to add purpose to that, but I think it then negates purpose of building these damn clothes in the first place. I want to dress fancy. Just because I'm a street racer don't mean I want to dress fancy, okay? I want a LaFerrari too. I just can't fucking afford it. On the other side, there's a reason having a bunch of cars parked together feels rewarding. Like a car meet, or hell, having your own possessions all parked up next to each other. It just feels like I've done this. I've worked hard, and all my cars are now sat next to each other looking good. Except that fat thing over there! I genuinely spend hours, like, parking my cars up in GTA and changing the garages that they're in to theme them. And that is, again, another thing you could do. You could have an off-road location that's near the off-road HQ. You could have supercars, hypercars. You could have your stinky old Japanese cars, your Euros. You could have however you want. You could just do it by, oh, these are my first cars that I bought in the game, and they mean a lot to me. And I get to organize that. And that will make me spend time. Hell, let me do it by driving. I think that would be a really cool thing, because it just feels a little bit more like I'm actually doing it, rather than just, you know, put this car here through the menu. This is kind of needing to be a bit more of a life sim, is what I'm kind of explaining overall. Okay, moving on to what they think the focus of Test Drive should be. And that, my friends, obviously is the competition, because that's the idea of this game, is it's the solar crown. So I've taken competition in a couple of ways. We need to fix something pretty obvious. You can already kind of see it in the corner. Global sessioning. I don't think I need to explain. Crossplay. I don't think I need to explain. And then one of the big ones, kill the solar pass. So as I said, the solar pass is their main idea of monetization, and I think it's a terrible idea. Now, I don't want to sit here and tell them how to do it, because I don't think there's a great way to really discuss this without me coming across saying like, oh, I think you should charge for cars. How many people would throw their poo if I said that? Or, oh, you could charge for map expansions. I think that's a terrible idea, because it segregates players, which we're trying to avoid in Test Drive, because that seems to be the focus. Okay, not the focus, but like, they accidentally did it, and they keep doubling down on the pissing thing. So, here's having a purpose, works with competition. Racing, competition. A use for social hubs. Crews link into the competition already. I don't think they really need to do anything major for the competition stuff. I think they need to realize that most of the game is played in single player. The actual competitive stuff needs to be a lobby system like every other game. Every other game that tries to do something different, it just never works. There should be a competitive door, and it throws you into sessioning and finds players. Doesn't care about the player's location or anything. Oh, but what about lag? It's not Gran Turismo. And Gran Turismo does it! Gran Turismo has countries versus countries. It's properly competitive. They have an e-sport for it and everything. Why can I not play the Test Drive Solar Crown, where I'm supposed to be buying houses and free roaming and cruising with friends, and I can't play with other people other than people that live down my street that I don't know anyone of? Let me calm down a second. I don't like competitive, but I know, you know, a lot of people do, and it adds a lot of value. I'm more about the cooperative and more passive, not, you know, aggressive types of play. And I think an obvious one is the casino, which hopefully they're still working on, because that I remember playing a lot of, and it was a fun experience to do, and it's a unique experience. And if I can then spend a lot of time in the casino and earn a car, great, fun. It's a way of making good money or just losing it all and being frustrated. Either way, it adds to the gameplay loop quite nicely, I think. I spoke about, again, linking all this together, going to a dealership and buying one of my favorite cars, one of the cars I'm looking forward to most, that to actually get my hands on, and spending that time with a friend, bringing them in and being like, oh my God, you can drive it. You know, you can see my car. Tell me what you think. I'm going to test it against your cars. The social experience. Now, beyond that, I think car deliveries or something fun should be sprinkled in there, because I think it's a good way to really add characters and story, add some people to this world that feels a little bit dead. But this basically is what I've come up with for now. You can see there's definitely room to expand it and explain more, but that's what this video is all about. It still frustrates me because there are times I enjoy this game, and I've been saying that since day one. But like, you add Tess Wintory, and all she does is do a cutscene and then replays the cutscene every single time you click on her. That's all she does. What is your point, woman? I mean, we've got a run, but he's even worse. He just gives me a fucking screen to press through that's slow and unresponsive. Look at your glasses. What is that snake on the side? Oh, it's the crew logo. Okay, fine. That's kind of fly, actually. To once again explain one of the things that's frustrating is the double forced progression. The influence required, level 60. So, say I become a billionaire from the casino, I won't be able to buy my Ferrari California. Do you think, for 1 second, that I am going to use a Ferrari California to do races with? Absolutely not. I want the Bugatti or something, you know, something quick, a Regera, whatever. The fastest car I can find. It is not a California. So why can I not buy this if I had the money to do so? I'm very close, actually. I've got to be level 60. What level am I after 22 hours playtime on this game, according to the game? I'm level 22, but I don't think that's the right level. I think it's the clan level, isn't it? So what's that? Oh, I'm level 6! Anywho, test drive a little bit Solar Crown. I think I have hope for the future. Maybe not for this game being everything I want it to be, but stepping in that direction over time, I think we could have another big, good competitor against the norm. I think following the popular games, which is clearly they looked at a Forza and thought, oh, Forza's not really doing much. Let's just kind of do what they're doing. And, well, unfortunately, that's what a lot of games are doing. They look at the biggest one and they copy. And unfortunately, it's not the biggest for that reason. It's because it's accessible. That's why people jump on it. And that's great. An accessible racing game, very good. It hopefully brings people into more racing games possibly. But look, I'm playing a game. I don't want a sandbox. I don't want to just crashing simulator. I want to play. I want to feel rewarded. And ultimately, I want to play the game how I want to play it. And when I buy a test drive game, I kind of expect a test drive game. It's basically what I'm saying. Check out a previous video here on Ibiza. You want me to say it like that?